SQL from Oracle. So I mentioned Oracle is the default user for all the databases in any server, any environment, any uh, company. The Oracle is the default user. Okay, that user have the database. In that database, there is some bash profile will be there. Based on that bash profile, you can able to connect the database by giving this command SQL plus slash as SDBA. So I mentioned Linux is the part. Like, so, leave it. Okay. SQL plus is the tool. It is also actually it is not a Linux command. Okay, this is a Oracle command, but it will work on the Linux. So SQL plus is the tool. Okay, anywhere it will work. SQL plus is not only the Linux command, it can also work in the command prompt also in Windows also. If the database installed in Windows, if the database was installed in Linux, it's also connect with the SQL plus. And slash as is DBA as a DBA user will connect with this one. Okay, I can also show the other users how they connected. Actually, DBA you are taking a training as a DBA classes so that you people has been connected with this one. SQL plus space slash as sysdba. Okay, so you can able to connected which user there is a user will be there. I said already in Linux environment root is the super user. In database sys is the super user. Show user can identify which user you are there. Actually, it will show just SQL. Okay, so now you can see show user. There is the command, just simple command. It's not a Linux command. There's some default commands it will come, so you can identify just username. Okay, so one thing you need to remember about SQL. So what is meaning of SQL generally? I don't go with the much abbreviation or much theory on this one. Just simple basics I will tell you. Structure, query, language. So what is the meaning of structure and what is the meaning of query and what is the meaning of language? Just simple understanding. Structure in the sense it is a sentence. When while you are creating a writing any sentence, suppose my name is Basha. This is the sentence. Suppose name my is Basha or then is Basha my name. So which is the right sentence? You people can you recognize this one? Which statement is correct? First one. So this is called some structure. Okay. So maybe all the everything we have the same line of commands only, same commands. But how you are returning, that is important in the structure. Okay. So you have to write in the exactly right sentence formation. There is a one right sentence formation for the statement. If you have to write that one, and the commands also like this or not. There is no coding here in database. Okay, you can mute yourself, please. So you can just see my name is Basha is the just right sentence formation. Then only it will be the structure will be works. Okay, and query is matlab is just meaning is the query is means query is like asking, like you are questioning. Query is nothing but questioning, right? You are questioning to the database. Okay, whatever you required, so you have to mention that to query the like query format. Okay, and it is a language I mentioned as well as the database and here Linux like server OS operating system. For the operating system and database, the between the language defined for the structure query language. That's why they call. And what structure you have to mention? That structure you have to while you are writing the any data or any commands, you should be write in the sentence formation. Okay, I will tell the sentence formation also very simple. I mentioned here around 37 commands you are seeing here. Okay, like this here also very less commands compared to Linux. Okay, just 12 commands. How many commands? Just 12 commands you will become as a DB. About 37 here and some more commands can around 50 you can say 10 more commands you can imagine for the Oracle. So like 50 commands in Linux and 12 commands in database, like around 62 around 75 you can take a round figure about 75 commands. Then you become as a DBA with the 88 plus years of experience you get. Whatever I have the experience, that experience you get. Okay, so Here in SQL, there are some four categories of commands divided. So there is like a DDL, and then DML, then TCL, and then DCL. Okay. So here the DDL commands are becomes there is a four commands that is called create, alter, drop, truncate. Okay. The same time it will come here. So one thing here comes insert, update, delete. Rename? No. Okay. I'll tell you about rename also. No rename. It will come solved. Okay. It's a what is like the commands in between it will come. Okay. The letter what is like the types they can take a sub command you can mention. Yeah, alternate the rename is okay. But the rename of what kind of rename that you are doing that will come there. I will tell you about that. Okay. And TCL will come TCL. TCL commands are commit, rollback, then save. Then TCL commands. So this is the commands it comes grant and then revoke. Okay. So what is meaning of DDL? It's a data definition language or data defined language you can say. Data definition language or data defined language. Why it called definition or defined language? It won't depend on the DCL transaction. Sorry, TCL transactions. I mean, it won't depend on this one. So once you define, no need to save the data. Okay, no need to save the data. By default, it can be save the data. So that's why we have definition you can save. Once you define the command, it the data automatically save into the database. That is the purpose. This is called DDL, data definition language. Okay, and DML means data manipulation language or modification language. So manipulation or modification means while you are doing data, any changes is happening. Okay, when you are doing any changes or any data or inserting or updating or deleting, in that type it should be depend on the TCL commands. Like you should commit or rollback. That means you want to save the data. Commit is meaning of save. Rollback means undo. Okay, commit means save. Rollback means undo. And save point is different point. I will tell you. Okay. This is a TCL means transaction. The DML commands has been compulsory depend on the TCL commands. Otherwise, the commands will not be executed. Otherwise, it won't reflect to the others also. And TCL, it's a data control language. TCL means transaction control language. DML means data manipulation or modification language. So that means while you are modifying means it's a transactions part. So that's why you have to should be save or rollback whatever you have to do. And data control language means you want to grant means to provide the permissions. Revoke means to revoke the permissions. I mean what are the permissions given? You can retake that permissions to back. So that is the commands. If you this is the commands to run, to learn further to become a DBA as a SQL basic commands. If you want to become a developer, okay. So these are the same commands for developer also use. Sometimes even PL SQL code, some different codes will come. So even I'm not aware of that PL SQL code much. Okay, if you are interested in the developer, you can learn some more things also. So whatever maybe you want PL SQL coding, if you are interested in the coding, you can learn that coding also. Sorry. Yes, data retrieval language is also comes. Previously, it is defined in the DDL only. Select. Okay, so there is again they mentioned separately, that is a DRL. Okay, it's a data retrieval language. Okay, actually it is previously in 10G or 11G or 9 in that scenario they mentioned select as also DDL command. Sometimes if you select any command also, it's automatically save the data also. So in that scenario they mentioned in a DDL command only, but you can consider as a DRL command. But it still it is a confusing sometimes when while doing the performance times, even if select somebody is still writing the data, it automatically commit the data by select also. So that's why it will come in the both scenarios, DDL and DRLs. And some more commands will also comes, extra commands. That's why you can imagine here now 4 plus 3 is 6, sorry 7, 7 plus 3 10 and 12. And this is the select is the one more command, and there is one more command will be there, flashback. Okay. Flashback command also come. One more command also comes. So for the backup times it will come. Restore and recover is also a command will comes. Restore and recover. You can learn later this one. But up to SQL level, you can learn these commands. So now we can discuss about one by one command. So first DDL commands we can discuss with the practical. Okay. So first I will go with the DDL command, which is the first command. Create is the command. So whenever you got a requirement in a database, okay, so what the purpose create can be used. Create means obviously you know the meaning of create. You are creating a new thing. Anything you are creating, that can be do the this command only. Okay, so generally in database what kind of types we can create. Okay, in the database normally, suppose simply you can go like one school register, about the school register. Okay, data, first of all, how the data will be stored in the database. Okay, in not only in a database, in any database the data can be stored in the table form. So what is meaning of data? First of all, okay, suppose you have a school or if you have a class. Okay, you have the attendance register for the class. Okay, so what will be the first column? Roll number, right? First you can give the roll number, then name, then date it will come, then it's address if you're a student, which category, if it is like suppose medium, you can come, you can say like medium, or if it is a groups are there, like if you are the intermediate students like MPC, BPC, which group will be there. Okay, so normally this is the data they can keep. Okay, if it is a like biggest schools like Sri Chaitanya or Narayana or any educational institute, okay, they want to keep the data 100 years also. So that's the purpose they will use the database. Okay, you can say like not only imagine the school register, you can also imagine the Amazon products also. You people are buying the product, so for that product also, product ID, then transaction ID, product name, and address to deliver, and which date it's provided, and which transaction you did, like banking, credit card, cash on delivery. So these are all the columns. Okay, you people are simply buying the product, but this data can be stored in somewhere, right? Without store any, suppose if I run any record. See, this is the data. Okay, how this data can be stored in the real-time database. See here we have the everything information here. First, reference number. You can imagine that the reference number is the one column, and then the number, the value, and then date and time, and then transfer amount, how much you mentioned, which bank you mentioned. The beneficiary name of the account holder, and then bank name, and then account number, then IFS code, and then remarks. So these are the columns. Yeah, you are getting the screenshot. Just getting the screenshot, for the front end, but in the back end it should be stored in the table format. So that's why the data will be stored in database in a table format. You can see this Excel sheet. This is the table format. Okay, whatever the records are there, the records will be added here. Okay, this is the columns, and this is the some table name will comes. Okay, in real time you can say simple scenario, the data stored here is in table format. Okay, this table can be keep safe, and how it can be created. So developers will do actually how, what kind of columns you need to keep, what kind of column name you have to provide it, and which data is required. Everything you can keep that one. Okay, so here that's why we can use to create tables. Okay, and also you can say you can create tables, views, indexes. Okay, and then obviously you, if the users also there, users will be there. Okay, and there is some table spaces, you can say it will come. Okay, you can confuse about this also, see, but I will say this one. Okay, creating tables, views, indexes, users. Okay, so you know about index also, what is the meaning of general index. Okay, index means suppose when you are opening any textbook. Okay, you want to go some chapter, directly you cannot go one by paper, one paper and search, and directly cannot go to the chapter. First there is the index name will come, right? There is the index part will come. In that index, the column name, the chapter name, and the page number it will display, right? That means you can identify the value directly by using the index. That's the purpose we can create the indexes. So anything while you are creating the database, you should use the command as a create. So now my requirement, suppose I am the new user comes. Okay, you people are come here as a new user. You can say one new user came and he want to create a, you want to add that user into the database. Okay, say don't confuse it. In the Linux also I have added the user. How to add a user in a OS level. Now I am adding a user in database level. Okay, so don't confuse, the same command it comes means. Okay, there is a user add command will be there to add a user in Linux environment. You are going to add a user in database now. So now the database commands will comes, that is commands, SQL commands. So now we want to create a suppose one user. Okay, so I said one thing, structure query language. Structure means so now you got a requirement. The new user is came. You can mention any username here. Suppose the Dadu is the new user. Okay. So Dadu is the new user. You want to add a create a user in a database. So this is my requirement. Okay. Normally, while you are creating a Gmail account, so what will be mentioned? Just as I imagine. Okay. So while you are creating the Gmail ID, you have to mention the Gmail, the format of Gmail, like what mail ID you want to keep. So you will keep a one mail ID, right? And you will keep a one password for that mail ID, right? Then you can give the details about that. Okay. Based on that, at least minimum remember while you are logging, you should require one Gmail ID and one password. The same thing you can apply here also. Okay, so now the requirement is, I can, which command I can use. My requirement is I need to create a user in a database. This is my requirement, and you have to write in sentence formation in structure format. So first you have to use any one command. By starting letter should be the these commands only. So you have to write the command first. Create is the command. Don't think about that is, can I type in a small uppercase or lowercase. Most of the commands are in lowercase only. Okay, only some specific commands. These are if the Linux commands and database commands are Linux commands, most of the time it's a small lowercase letters only will take. If you give the uppercase letters, it won't take. Suppose I mentioned exit is the logout for the user in database as well as from the OS. Suppose CP is the command general, sorry, LS is the command to check the list. Suppose the same command, if you give the caps, it won't work. Okay, Linux commands, most of the commands only in small lower case only. Okay, here in line in SQL, either you can give the uppercase or lowercase, both it will take, not a problem. Okay, but most of the time you can use more, sometimes the developers will use most of the time uppercase only, but while you are searching you should be mention upper cases. Okay, that will tell later, but don't confuse I need to enter uppercase or lowercase. You can enter all the lowercase letters only. Okay, so create, I need to use the create first command. and I mentioned which user you need to. I mean, what is my requirement? So I am creating user. Which part of the query? I mean, what is your requirement? That is the query will become. Okay. So my requirement, I want to create a user in a database. So create user. I am going to create a here now. I have to mention table or view or index. Like I want to create a user. That's why I will use the keyword as a user. I am going to create a user. That's why I mentioned create user. And now I need to mention the username, right? Obviously, how to mention the username. So which user is you are creating? I mentioned already Dadu is the new user. I want to create. Yeah, go. So Dadu is the new user. So I will create the username as a Dadu. Okay. So while you are creating the Gmail ID, you are have separate columns like mentioning the Gmail ID in the first column. I mean first row and the password in the password column. Okay, but here you have to mention differentiate with the commands only. Okay, I mentioned as a syntax formation. So create username as Dadu I mentioned. So while you are suppose whenever you like simple I can say the commands identify you can answer identified by. So anything you can remember any person by identified by only. So there's a default command to identify the user. And now you have to give the password identified by password. This is the command. That's it. As you can see, it is a syntax formation or it is any difficulty in that command. Just what is your requirement you can understand and write the syntax as same as this. Don't think this is the biggest command. Okay, actually this is the only biggest command, not this much of the command. You are using the only one command and create user you are keeping and the other which is the user you want to give, and this is identified by the password differentiated. So that is you are providing here. So create user username identified by the and password and should be mentioned semicolon. If the semicolon is not given in the SQL syntax, what happened? It won't understand where the command ends. So that's why the command should be ended with the semicolon. Like while suppose if the systematic, while even robo films all people are watched, right? So after completing the sentence, it will say the dot. Like here also you have to mention semicolon. Simple. So create user username identified by password. I will just copy here and execute in the database. You have to connect first database by giving the SQL plus slash as sysdb. Clear screen. I'm just don't confuse it. Just I'm clearing screen. I'm in your SQL. So I'm creating the new user. That username I mentioned. Now it's try to creating the user. So user is created. Once the syntax is verified, checked, then it will be created the user. Okay. So I mentioned the username as also password is also as the same user. By mistake, if you are understanding, user the password is the same username. I don't want to keep the same username password. Now we want to change the password. Okay. So again, if you give the same create user, I want to give the same username and give the password some 123 Dadu 123. It won't give because it's already the user conflicts with another user. Okay, in that scenario you don't use the create, but once you define this command, the user is created already. Again you want to change the password and giving the just password is a different name, it won't take. In this scenario we have to implement as a alter command. If you want to change, once you define the create, then you want to change any changes is happen, you have to use the alter command. So now we can give the instead of same command just create, you have to give the alter, and as it is the same command. Okay, last which password you want to keep, that password you can keep here. The other 123 I mentioned. Okay, this is the password. Okay, now so I mean which user you can see show user is the command to verify which user you are there. Now the other user is created. I will take the new session, don't confuse it. I'm in the same window, but I will take the new session with the same window. The same password. I mentioned root is the super user to Linux. First, you want to connect the server with the any Linux user permissions. Okay. Then you need to connect the Oracle user, switch user. Then you have to connect SQL plus. Okay. Last time I mentioned to connect the user with the SQL plus as sysdba. This is the command to connect the any database user. Okay. In the same server. If it is a database in same server, you have to use this one. Otherwise, you have to use password and also everything. I will show you that. Okay. Now, the other user is created here. The other user is created. So now use the sys user. So whatever sys does not connect to the any other user. Sys is the super user in database, and sys does not connect any other user in real time. Okay, they don't want it. They can edit it the password, they can modify the password, they can change anything, but as a DPI, you people does not connect to any user. Okay, so now you can inform to the Dadu whatever the Dadu is asking. Can you please create a user for me as a username as a Dadu, and give you the credentials. So you provided, you created a user, you mentioned user Dadu created, and you can use the password Dadu123. You can try to connect. How the Dadu user connect to the database now? Okay, I mentioned SQL plus is the tool to connect the database. So which user you want to connect, that user need to mention here. If it is a sys user, if it is not a sys user, if it is not a super user for database, now you should mention the username and password. So now you have to mention the Dadu, and I mentioned slash. Slash is the command to differentiate the directories. Okay, now it's also differentiate the username and password also. First one is the Dadu is the username, and second one slash mention the password of Dadu. Dadu123. Okay, now we can able to connect. So now we can able to connect, but it got some issue. Okay, what kind of issue is there? This is the DBA work actually how to do in a real time. Okay, so now you can understand what is the issue got. Don't panic. Here is not connected. It getting error here. Don't panic. First, most of the people are they're not reading the at least what is the error message. Please read the error message first. What's error you got? You can see error number. It also get. You can also there is a one more thing you people to learn searching skills in your Google. Okay, if you got any error, don't take help first. Try to resolve from your end, and you can search this error in the Google. It will give the scenarios and solutions also. Okay, so now you got an error. First you can see, read the sentence first. What kind of error it comes? User, yes, it's a user. Dadu is the user. Lacks, okay, it's lacks means some getting a issue. Create session, create session. Privilege, privilege meaning मतलब क्या होता? Privilege is a permission. User created Dadu, but there is a permission issue comes. Okay, so log on denied. The user is created. Okay, fine. Okay, the user is created, but he does not got a permission to connect the database. That is the mention here. And here also get a issue, and in database very easy to understand because of even you can get the meaning of the or solution also by the error number. How you can search? I mentioned the some of the Linux commands will come. That is the command is OERR. This is the error spelling only, but it is the meaning of error mistake. That's why given this command OERR error. You can just mention the number here. What are the number you mentioned? Vara 01045. You can give the same number 0 Vara 1040. Sorry, 10105. 0 not required before 1. So 1045 is the error. It will give the cause why the error comes. A connection was made to user ID which does not have create session privilege. He mentioned the privilege name also. Here also mentioned. It does not have the create session privilege. Okay. He is given action also here. What is the action? Grant the user. Who is the user? Dadu is the user. Grant the user with this privilege. He mentioned the action also. That's why most of the Oracle errors also have some action. It will give some recommendations also. That's why very easy to learn and easy to resolve such kind of issues also. Please remember OERR. This command need to remember. Okay, you are not remembering the entire thing. Just remember the OERR error spelling mistake only. This because of its error. That's why he given error spelling. And the number which is displaying here, just hyphen. Remove the hyphen. Provide the as this number. So this is the different user you are saying. Okay, first time you are getting this one, and second time I am not enter the user. That's why it's saying invalid username and password. Okay, don't confuse this password will comes actually. If the password and username is wrong, then it will say the username and login is denied. Even you can see this number also OERR Vara Can give the caps are small, it's not a problem. 1017. This option also comes. Actually, cause and action is not there because here saying invalid username and password. So there's a Gmail, your account password and username is invalid. That's why it's not showing the username. Now Dadu comes again to the DBA. See, while you created a user, right, given a password, but I'm unable to connect because I'm getting this issue. Now DBA, and you can see now which command need to use. The DCL commands need to use. Just simple understand which commands need to understand. Now sys DBA only give the user the permission, and the action is also given here as it is. Grant this one. Just give the first grant command. Any small or uppercase is fine. And what permission is missing, that permission need to mention. Create session to which for who you want to giving that user information you need to provide here. Obviously, you have to mention the sentence formation. Grant create session to means from to whom to provide the user. That's why you have to mention to give the call. So now grant succeeded. Okay. Now you can try to connect with the same user by giving the commands above. SQL plus. First I will clear it. Yeah. Okay. SQL plus is the command to connect the SQL server, SQL database, SQL tool, and now give the username and then small case. While you created the small case or uppercase, whatever, maybe it's not a problem. You can try to connect username as a small lowercase or uppercase, not a problem. But password should be mandatory. If it is a lowercase password, you have to mention lowercase password. If it is uppercase password, you have to give the uppercase password. Okay, Dadu 123. Now we connected. Show user. This is the command to identify the which user you are there. So now user is created, right? So this is the DBA commands that you can use. Now, if you want to create, now the user is created. Now you can try to create a table. So same command. So here you can identify how the user is created. Create user because I'm creating a user. Now I'm creating a table. So what is the command? Create. Instead of user, I'm creating a table. So I have to give the table keyword. So create user. Instead of user, I have to create the table because I'm going to create a table. And you have to mention the table. Here username you mentioned. Now you have to mention the table name. Like this is the class 1 table. Okay. In this class 1 table, you have to mention. Okay. In brackets, you have to mention this is the name of the table. Now you have to mention columns of the table. This one. These are the columns. Like if you take the attendance register, what columns you have mentioned. Okay. So here you can mention. Suppose I will mention first roll number. I will give roll number RNO. I will give. Okay. RNO means roll number. And I given the space here and should be mentioned. One more thing. You people have understand the data types. So you have to quote about data types. What is meaning of data types? Data types means suppose if it is a name should be A to Z, right? Your name should be A to Z. Means alphabets only will be there. Okay. And suppose you have the cell phone number. It should be number 0 to 9, right? 0 to 9. Suppose if you want to the date when you join date or attendance date, whatever may be join underscore. Here date format will be comes. Date format how it will be there. So how you can give. Suppose it's today 16th March. You will mention like this. Like so these three types of data types while you are adding the data. Okay, whatever maybe if you open any file also, it will be there. One thing is date and one more thing is the reference number and someone is have the alphabets in some columns. Like this, you also while you are creating a table, you should mention about the data types. What kind of data types you have to mention. So normally you have the roll number. Roll number we have the options. What kind of data types you need to provide. Only numbers need to enter. So that's why the data type of the number is here. Suppose if you are learning with the Java, C++ or Python, whatever maybe many things, there is a many kind of data types will be there. But in Oracle database, luckily we have only 3 or 4 kind of data types you only can give. Okay. So one thing is number. Okay. If you are entering only 0 to 9 numbers, I mean in that column you have to enter only the numbers, not with the alphabets. then you have to mention as a number is the data type. So this is the number, that's why I mentioned as a number. Okay, then comma for the second column. This is the first column. Now second column should be name. I will give the candidate name. So here it is a what kind of data type you need to provide, that is character. Okay, there are the three types of characters will be there: character, varchar and varchar. Okay. So actually most of the time now they are using most of the time last one only, name and varchar 2 only. Okay, varchar 2 only. So what is the difference between char, varchar and varchar 2? Character means it will accept only A to Z, only alphabets. Okay, so somebody got information like suppose my name, I can give the Gmail ID like basha117 at gmail.com, right? I will keep like number and alphabets. That's why, but character, if you give the character, it won't accept the number and alphabets, both cannot be accepted. So in that time varchar has been introduced to enter the A to Z, as well as number also need to comes. Okay, and then varchar 2 is also introduced. This is the purpose why introduce, actually this is these both are same, and varchar 2 is also same. Okay, it will accept A to Z and number, but suppose there I have to mention some characters number also. Suppose I will give the 10 here, in bracket I will give the 10. 10 means what? Means how many characters of the name. Okay, suppose I mentioned some name like Yasin Basha. Total how many characters it will come? It's 5 and it's 5, and space is also one more character. Total 11 characters. Okay, so it's 11 characters I have. Okay, suppose I given 10 characters here, 11 characters, this name will not accept here. Okay, so that scenario you have to mention 12 or 13 or 11 at least. Okay, suppose what happened, somebody have just 4 letters only. Suppose I will give the Sunil. You have the 5 letters here. Okay. Oh no. Hello? So here I given the 12 characters. Anyway, here enter the 11 characters. So only one character is enough. One character means 1 byte, you can understand. Maybe 1 byte or 1 kilobyte, whatever maybe size. Size is also mandatory here. Okay. So if here's like in first row it happened for 11 characters, but one character is means one seat is left. Here 5 means rest of the 7 seats are left. Okay. Here 7 seats are left. That means the remaining 7, I can say 7 seats or 7 bytes. You can say the normal space issue you can consider. Okay, space. If the space, suppose you can say like the what say some rows in a theater. The first row it fills 5 seats, and 7. Next row it fills 7 seats are empty, and third row it will fill the 3 rows are empty. So the remaining seats. So all the rows are occupied actually. Okay. In first row there is a 1 seat left. The second row there is 7 seat left. In third row there is a 5 seat left. So, but in the column wise you can take all the columns are full. That means is the theater is full? Not right. Theater still we have the remaining seats are full, which is not occupied, but which is also occupied as a space. So in that scenario, varchar 2 what will happen? Up to 5 characters it will take. The next person, the next value, whatever the next value comes, right? This value is assigned to the next value, so that the remaining space is not left as a free space. The space will be occupied to the next character or next value, whatever may be mentioned. So that's why some space consumption will comes here. So we cannot fill the table, complete the table with a lot of space. So due to the space issue, they introduce this varchar 2. That's why most of the time they are using varchar 2 only. Okay? And obviously I mentioned date. Suppose you are mentioning a date here, and here again date is the new data type to enter the date format. So date is also Linux command. Date is also data type for the SQL. Okay. Suppose you are mentioned here date twice, means the column name is date and the data type is also date. So that the server cannot be understand, right, which is the column and which is the date. So that's why what you have to mention, you have to add any extra word here. Suppose some join date or j underscore date or j date. So any name you can keep. Okay, don't suppose if you want to give the same date as a date column, in that scenario you have to keep in a single quotes or double quotes. So double quotes you have to keep, so that the date will be shows like this. In the double quotes it's identified as a column name and date is as a data type. Otherwise you can mention most of the time if the two words of the columns are there. So join date, don't give the space like this. In that scenario they will give the underscore of the column name. Okay, or if you want to, if does not want underscore, then you can keep the double quotes. Otherwise you don't need to keep the double quotes, then it will identify. So this is the structure of the create a table. So don't panic. You people have don't create a tables. You don't people create a don't create a views or any other things. If you have requirement, you can create a only indexes or users. Okay, but this is a just demo purpose and also you have to get a knowledge purpose. That's why I'm training on this one. So now create a table. Very simple. Create my requirement. You can understand, and then the query will comes. Create table, and the table name is class 1. Now you have to mention the column names here, and then you have to mention the data types here. So row number is a number and name is a varchar 2 you have to mention, and join date is a join date column you have to mention. Now this is the just copy the command and execute in the Linux. So where you need to enter the Dadu user only need to execute. Suppose if you are executing the sys user, it will create it for the sys user table. But I want to create it with the Dadu user only. Dadu is the developer here. Okay, I am the sys user. I am the DBA. DBA does not want to create any tables. Only Dadu will create the user, and what kind of scenarios it will come and how you people work on the real time. That time trying the in that way. Okay, sorry, create spelling wrong. Okay, create is spelling wrong. See, sorry, create and remaining as same. So now we got one more error. Okay, so insufficient of privileges. You really got to know that what is the meaning of insufficient of privileges. So insufficient of privileges matlab hota hai ki it's a, there is no privileges to create a table. So whatever you want to do the transactions here, you should ask the permissions first from the sys user like admin. So then they will again ping to the DB admin. Who is the DB admin? You people all are the DBS. They will come. The other will come to you people and ask the. I am trying to create a table. I am getting a insufficient privileges. Okay. Obviously, you can try to learn the command. There is a I said like OERR command. Actually, that is a Linux command, but I don't want to exit every time. That's why I can use the exclamatory mark here and give the same command. Exclamatory mark will use for temporary purpose. It will exit to the Linux, from the SQL and run this command in the Linux. Again, it will connect into the SQL. So that's the purpose. It will exclamatory will use, but it won't exit from the SQL actually. VRR and give the number, which number you are facing. Vara 1031 error. It will see cause. An attempt was made to perform a database operation without the necessary privilege. So it's clearly saying the cause. It does not have such kind of permission. You are doing that such kind of activity. So here action also giving some recommendations I said, right? Ask your database administrator. Who is the database administrator? You people. And designated security administrator to grant. Again, say clearly, grant you the necessary privilege. So previously you can understand which privilege is missing. That privilege directly mentioned here. Now here the privilege name is not mentioned, but you can explain your query to the administrator, then they can understand very clearly. You are going to create a table. Create a table is your permission. That's it. So whatever the grant you have to mention, grant. So whatever your requirement, that is your privilege. Create a table is the privilege. To whom? To who? Same user. Small case or uppercase your wish. Dadu. Now grant succeeded. Now I will try to execute the same command here. Copy. Just here in the putty, just select it means copy and give the right click. It will paste it. Now the table is created. So how you know that the table is created? There is simple answer. Describe is the command. Here also shortcut keywords, some commands will be there. You can type completely describe or just DESC and give the table name. It will show the structure. See, whatever you mentioned here, roll number, you have mentioned number. That's why you are showing the number here. You are giving the name varchar 2. It's giving the varchar 2. Okay, and here join date place. You are giving the date. Okay. Now, so we have created a user and created table. Suppose if the table I thought it's a class one. I don't want as a class one. I will take as this is a register. So register name. I will give as a register name. You want to rename the table. In that scenario, you are already created. You cannot create the same table again. Okay. So in that scenario, you have to use the alter. Then what is the command? The keyword also you have to mention alter table, and table name you have to mention class one, and the rename to have to mention very clearly, rename to the class one to register reg I will give. So this is the command of rename, Priya. Okay, it will come in the between inside the sub command. So what is the requirement, based on that it will come, but this can be do by the developer, not for the you. Okay, suppose if the Dadu is the developer, Dadu is doing, as a you people can't do. If anyone comes to do this column, you have access. And water bottle, bring water bottle. Thank you. No, no. Bring. Come. Thank you. Mouse is also not working. Okay, sorry guys, my laptop got shut down. Clear, clear screen. Clear screen you can type or just CLSCR. Discuss. Show yourself. Okay. Here Dadu is the user. Here Sis is the user. So now the table described RG. So renamed. Okay. Now same column name if rename. Even if you want to rename the columns, if you want to rename the data types also, if you want to change the data types, everything can be changed by the alter command only. So, if you want to become a developer, you can try to learn more things from the Google also. The commands will come. Okay, you can go ahead if you are interested to the commands to write it. But also, if you become a expert on the DB, also have to learn some SQL commands also. That's your wish. Okay. Now table is created. The table name is registered. So now previously it was class one. Now it's registered. So now you can see by describe that table structure actually. Okay, what name you mentioned, that name you can see, and or the what are the columns you mentioned and what the types you can mention. Okay. Now what you need to do? What which level I covered? Create alter is done and grant is also done. Now we'll discuss about drop and truncate later. So you can go with the DML operation. Insert, update, delete. So now here DML operations also do the developer only, not you the administrator. So insert, update, delete means whenever you created a table, that table get the records. These are the column names. Now you are going to enter the records. So I will enter the records by using the command insert. Insert. Okay. So, but see, before writing the data here, suppose you are creating a user, you mention create user username. Creating a table, you mention as a create and table as a mentioned as a table keyword should be mentioned what you are doing with the DDL commands. But DML operations does not want to use the insert into table. Don't use the keywords directly because this is a DML operations. Whatever maybe you are doing the DML operations should be depends on the TCL also. That's why he does not want to need to keep a same commands like insert table or delete table, delete user like that. Okay, so directly how to mention as a sentence formation while you are inserting anything. So you can use the insert into mention, right? Insert into, then you can mention the table name. Insert into table name. And what you have to mention, we have to enter the values. That's why you have to give the values. Insert into table name here mention, then values, and what values you mention, what are the column structure you prepared. That structure you have to give the same values here. Okay. So one thing you have to give the first roll number. You can mention here numbers only. I will give the first one as a number and comma. Differentiate with the column names with the comma and here name. So I need to mention a name. Suppose your name I will give the Priya. Here I giving the single quotes. Okay. Whenever you are entering the characters, it should be it's a, like called as a string. So if your people are done any lab practice in the BTech or any other graduation, so these people knows. Okay. Whenever you are entering the alphabets in a table or column in the database in real time, even in the C language or Java language, whatever maybe, you should address with the single quotes. Okay, so then only it can understand where it started the letters and where it is ended the letters. Okay, so whatever the name you mentioned, that name should be in single quotes. Only number only cannot give the without single quotes. Okay, if you are giving the number, then Priya, then you are giving the date. So which date you mentioned, some 12th March, which also give the single quotes. 12th March and 22. Should be going into the okay, now again it got a issue like this is also no privileges also. This is very interesting, but I can't tell right away. This is the table space part, so means space issue. It's come out same space issue. Some user Dadu first does not have the grant permission to connect the database, then we provided the grant, then Dadu does not have the create a table, then we given the grant of the table. Now he is also occupying the space. Okay, now space is occupying in my laptop, I mean in my server, in database. So in that scenario, you have to give the permission on this one also. That permission again give the user sys only alter user dadu as it is. Here what you mentioned the space part percentage. Like table space means space. This can, don't confuse this one. I will tell while taking the table space issue. People get idea about this. Actually, this is the default table space name. So that we have to give the some quota. Quota means you have to how much space you want to give to that person, like 1 MB, 2 MB. You have mentioned just one MB or KB. If you want to give the KB, K. MB means MB. GB means GB. If you want to give the TB means TB. Okay. So just give the T. And you have to mention which table space that you are giving. Mean which memory card you can understand. Which hard disk you want to give. For that hard disk, everyone when creating the new user, one by default one table space will be created. That table space name is users. I'm giving the same table space name. Okay. Now user is altered. I'm entering the same command. Actually, what you giving this is not your requirement for the DBA. This is your requirement. Whatever doing the sys, that is your requirement. You people have to do that one. Okay. So now I am inserted into the table. The value is created. One row is created here. So once row is created, you should, if you have the multiple times, you can enter the value, same value. Again, if you want to give the same value up to here and brackets, you can give second number and you can give the next one, which is Jahir, you can give, and you can join on 14th. So one more row is created. Okay. So while you creating the row, you should give the commit. Otherwise, these records will be lost. Okay. That's why is important. The commit is just commit only. Nothing will be there. Commit means commit completely, save the data. How we can see these records? Okay. Describe means it will show only the table name and structure. It won't show the records, what the records are entered. If you want to see the records, then you have to use the command select. Where is the select? The DRL command we mentioned, right? This is the command select. So once you select, it will be show the data. Select. You have to select which column you want to select, or you want to select all columns. You mention just simple star. How many columns? Suppose you have 3 columns only there. Suppose if the table have 100 columns also, if you give the just star, then it will show all the records and mention which table you want to see. Sorry, from is missing. Select star. Here mention see from keyword is missing. Okay. Select star. Then you have to mention from. Where you have to from? You have to see that one. See the 2 columns are entered here. Okay. So this is the insert option. There is a multiple ways to insert. So I will tell that now. So suppose if you want to add some more inserts, I will take the same things here. Insert into. If you want to do enter multiple times, I can't enter multiple times the same command. So in that scenario, what I can mention, I will give the and symbol here, and I will mention number. And then in the single quotes, I will give the and symbol and name. And I will give the and in the data types, and I will give the date. So what is meaning of and while giving? It means it won't enter the values actually, but it will ask the values. So enter value for number. So developers they use most of these times only because of while entering any records. I don't want to write every time the command and do everything. So if anything is wrong, again you have to type and check everything. I have to do like that. So otherwise, this is the simplest command to enter the multiple values multiple times. So number I will give 3. Now I will give the Irfan here. Now I will give the date. So like I will create it. See, again it will be written into that format. Okay. Now again, if you want to enter the next record, don't want to write the command again. Just give the slash and enter. Slash what happened means it will execute previous command once again. Don't confuse about slash. Sometimes slash can be divided the directories. Sometimes slash can be divided by the username and password. Sometimes slash is also executed with the previous command. See, again it will ask the enter value for number. Again, now I will go the 4. Okay, I will give the Jaya for here number, and I will give the date 31st. Now you can give. Again slash you can enter, and you can ask the number 5. You can give the any name, and again what is it? Date. Okay. Again you have to commit. So select star from each. So developer also can easily do the task also. Okay, and multiple ways also will be there for to insert option. So this is the one option. Suppose if you want to Suppose the actually column, the what is the table structure will be there? First roll number, then name, then join date. If you want to enter the difference, actually insert, insert into the table name you have to mention, then values you have to mention. Insert into, you don't want to mention values. Sometimes you have to mention like jumbling process. First I want to give the name, and then I will give the roll number, sorry, date I will give here, then roll number. Okay, join, so not a date, just join underscore date. What column you have mentioned, that name only you have to mention, and then roll number. I'm jumbling process I'm saying, and then values. So now suppose if I am here given name, now if I enter number, and then I join date I mention. Here if I give the name here, and here roll number I given. If I give the date here, so if I give the date here, it will give a issue invalid number, because so here it should be mentioned the name. Okay, and join date is also taken as a basha actually, but the star, whenever getting a star means it's getting some issue there in that column, because while if you jumbling the columns you have to give the value also what you mentioned here, like that there is a one word way to give same commands. So here name means you have to mention name only. If you are mentioning here join date, you have to mention join date only. Now if you are mentioning roll number means you have to mention roll number only. Okay, one row create. The same way, if you want to enter multiple values, you can use the without column name. You can use the same command here by and symbol. You can mention here name, then here date, then you can mention roll number and the roll. Even if it does not even give the name here, see, I will give one here. Don't say like I need to give the same what you mentioned like this while I can enter the value of this ask. So if you give the name, it will give the name. If you asking the date, it will give the asking date. I will give, instead of this number 1, I will give the number 2, then I will give the number 3. So it will ask for the value 1. It won't ask for the name, but what you mention, you have to mention the value is 1 here. So that you have to mention here, and the date you have mentioned, and the last number you mentioned 7. So okay. Select star from orange. Okay, so all the three numbers are there. Suppose if you want to any columns as mismatch or anything need to update, in that scenario you have to give the update. Insert means you are inserting the new records. Update means you have to set the already updated, which is updated there you can see, and I will create a save point here. Commit means what happened? Commit means it save that entire data. About save point reg1 I will give it. Okay, save point created. So what is meaning of save point? I will tell you. So now I will do update here. Update here, Irfan is in lower case. I will give the uppercase here. Update, first give the table name here. Then set what I need to set. I need to set the name column equal to. I will give the which user here. That username I will give here. Irfan in caps. Okay. Or you can set any name. Update means don't give the uppercase or that. Something is the spelling mistake comes. Irfan by I will give. I can also give this name completely. If the name is different or the spelling mistakes comes or by mistakes I have entered the wrong name, you can give anything. So here one more thing will be there. If I what happened if I am not giving the where condition? Suppose I give the update table name and set name equal to column. It will set the all the records at that time. What happens? 7 rows are updated. See, 7 rows are updated with the Irfan. Now what happens? Suppose if I roll back it, there is a one more option will be there. Roll back it means undo. If I do the undo, what happened? It will go to this up to commit. When I committed the last record, up to here, see, here I committed up to Archana. Archana only I given the commit. Later I have not committed any records. What happened? If I roll back the transactions, it will go up to Archana. The two records will be lost. So in that scenario, the save point will come. Okay, you don't want to go the commit, so you can just roll back to save point. Roll back to save point name you have to mention. Rollback completed. What happened? Only up to when save point is created, up to here these records. So Irfan is in smaller case. The up to here it will go like this. Okay. If you give the rollback, just give the rollback. Rollback completed. It will see what happened. What is the rollback to save point and what is the rollback? See, the remaining two records are gone. So that is the save point. Save point is, suppose if you are created a save point and I by mistakenly I updated the entire records, all the records has been got updated to Irfan by. Now I just roll back to save point, it works. I got a data. Now just given the rollback, what happened? The two records which is updated, 6 and 7 records are lost. Even if I roll back, it won't come because I didn't commit it. The rollback and rollback to save point, what happened? Rollback means it will undo the transactions until last commit when it is happened. Okay, but rollback to save point until it will goes which save point you created, up to that level it will go. So that is the difference between commit and save point. So what happened now again? If I roll back many times also, it won't get back. It's a rollback completed only comes message, but the data won't get back. But you have the save point. Once you roll back the save point, it automatically delete it also. It won't roll back also. Save point is never established. Once you roll back that save point, that can be deleted automatically. So it won't keep the records also. That's why save point will be keep. Why they will keep means, suppose if 100 records are there, they don't commit the records. They just creating the save points. So how they will create the save points? At 10 records they will keep in a one save point, 20 records one save point, 30 records save point, 40 records one save point, 50 records one save point. Suddenly 50 records entered, you got to know after 20 or 25 records, the remaining records are you entered as the wrong records. So now what you will do, you cannot, if you roll back it, it will go to the until the first record which is committed. So in that scenario, you can go to the S2 level, like on which rollback save points corrected, up to that level you can roll back to S1. Here one more thing you need to remember. Once you roll back to the, suppose S1, S2, S3, S4, S5 there. Okay, S1, S2, S3, S4 will be there. These are the save points you can save. So from save point, you roll back to S3 or S2 or S1 in the order level. Suppose by mistakenly you are roll back to S2. Now you want to go back to the S3. You can't go it. The records, whenever you roll back it, the remaining records automatically deleted. Okay. Suppose if you roll back to S1, S2, S3 will also delete it. And you cannot go to the forward to the save point. You can go to the only backward to the save point. So suppose if you want to roll back to S3, you can do it. If you want to do S2, you can do it. But once you roll back to S2, you cannot go to the S3. Okay, because S3 automatically deleted. So that's you have to remember. And these all the records information for the developers only. Okay. So now you need to update. What I am talking about here, update command. I will take the same command here up to here. So if you are not mentioning which record need to update, it will update all the records. That's why people should be mentioned where class as a developer. Where number, suppose roll number 3 you need to update. So you have to mention the column name first, where roll number equal to 3. Then only one row updated. Previously how many rows updated? The total rows are updated. You can see 7 rows. 7 rows are updated. If you are not mentioned the where clause. So you should remember the where clause is very mandatory. Okay? It's just simple sentence formation only. Update, table name and set. Obviously you are going to set the value which is default comes. Set name equal to Irfan by where roll number equal to 3. Now you can see the value which is updated or not. Okay, Irfan Bhai is updated. Now you can create a save point once again. Save point, and you can mention any name. Not required to create a save point S1 or S2. I will create the table name Res1, Res2, Res3 also. I will create S1 also. So save point is created. Now if you want to update once again, update any other record. So I'll go with the Jaya name. Update first you have to mention the table name, then set name column equal to, here I will give the full name of Jayalalita. Okay. So again I have to mention where clause. Okay. Here where clause also how you mentioned is mandatory. Okay. Sometimes you want to update, you know about roll number 4, where r number equal to 4. And also you can keep one more command also, and name column also you can keep, where name equal to Jaya. Okay. See, in the previous one I given the only one class. Now I have created in the two classes. Okay. Now and what is meaning of undo? And is nothing but the command should be satisfied with the both the conditions. Here I am mentioning roll number equal to 4 and name equal to Jaya. Both should be match. Okay. And means should be match. Then only you can update this command. So one row is updated, you can see that is updated or not. You can see Jayalalitha is updated now. Okay. Suppose if I give the same command, I will give the other name. So I will give the Jahir Khan. Okay. I will give the Jahir Khan. Okay. Where I will give where roll number equal to 2 and name equal to, I will give the name column with a different name, Archana. I will give the Archana. 0 rows are updated because this condition is not satisfied because roll number is satisfied. Okay, but even Archana is a name is also satisfied, but both the conditions is not at the same location. Okay, so here updated because roll number is 4 is the satisfied and name is also satisfied. That's why this row is updated. Okay, so you can see the value is not updated. You can see, or 0 rows is updated. You can see the value also 0 rows are updated. So Archana is, I mean Jahir Khan is not updated. So I will create one more save point here. Save point test. Okay. So now we want to update here. Suppose if I give the same number here instead of and, I will give the R. R is the one more condition. How we can give? What happened is 2 rows are updated. And is not satisfied with both the conditions. That's why what happened? 0 rows are updated. But this condition is R means it's either this, either that. Both are satisfied. So that's why it's updated 2 rows. Because 2 is also existed, Archana is also existed. You can see, select star from. So both places are Jahir Khan updated. Okay. So if I, okay, by mistake and I updated both names are same. Okay. I will create one more save point if you want here. Save point. Yes. So now I want, in this scenario, why you can use under or symbol. Suppose here I want to update only 5th number Archana, but here Jahir Khan is also the name and here also Jahir Khan name. So in this scenario, what I need to mention, update table name and give the set command, and which column you need to set, that column you have to mention. And here Jahir Khan, instead of Jahir Khan you have to give the Archana. And now where clause you need to put. Suppose where I will give the, suppose where name column only I will give, where Jahir Khan is there. So what happened? It will again update the both columns because Jahir Khan is updated in 2 locations. In this scenario, I want to update in 1 location means, and also will give roll number. Roll number equal to Arhan, no. So which I number? The roll number is 5. In this scenario, the duplicate values are there with the same name, but I want to update in only 1 row. In that scenario, you can use the and. If you want to use R symbol also, if you have the multiple columns need to update multiple rows with the same name, in that scenario you can update R. So one row is updated. Select star from S3. Okay. So now what happened? Suppose I want to go to the S3 save point. I created 3 save points. So if I'm going to save point, sorry, if I roll back to save point 1, I'll go to the rollback to save point 1. The save point 1 level, what rows are there? Where I created save point 1 is created. Here is created means these records will be there. Okay, still Jahir will be there, Archana is there. So up to save point S1 I am going. I am skipping S2 and S3. I created 3 save points. Okay, but I am skipping the S2 and S3. I am directly going to S1. So rollback is completed. You can see the records. So Jahir is there and Archana is there. Same level. Jahir Khan is not there. So if I roll back to the forward level, S1 or S2, S1 I will be, S2 will be. Save point is not established. So the save point S2 and S3 automatically deleted. You cannot roll back to the previous location. Once you roll back, you cannot go to the move to move forward. Okay, that is the option. So once you commit the records, it will commit all the records. If the save points also will lose everything. Okay. So now this is the records will be there. Now we can discuss about insert and update is gone. Okay. Even if I mentioned like insert or update with the column names here by running the enter asking the enter values. If you mention this undo symbol for anywhere, even update command or delete command also it will work. Okay. Don't say like that command works with by insert only. While you are updating the any value, suppose if you are giving the same value update here Jahir Khan, what happened? Even what value we need to mention new name. I will mention new name here and then where roll number equal to I will mention roll number also. So it will ask the new name. What name I need to give? Jahir Khan. So then it will ask the which number you want to where condition. So where number 2. So one row updated. You can see select star from which. So again Jahir Khan is games. Okay. Now I will commit once again. The data is committed here. So there is a delete command. So what is the meaning of delete also? So same command insert, update, delete. It's also depend on the transaction commands. TCL, commit, rollback, save point, whatever. So delete table name, simple. If you delete the table name, it will delete entire records without using the where class. That's why you should use the where class. So deleted commands. So you lost all the data. So no rows are selected, but still the table name will be there. Okay, it will delete the only records. Okay, now what I can create, I have to roll back once again because the records are deleted again. So roll back tense, select star from the table name, table bar. So again you have to commit it. Once you did any transaction, should be commit. Okay, so the data is there. So that's why don't delete the records with just table name. You have to mention where class, where roll number equal to 1, semicolon. Without semicolon it's not executed, so that's why it's going to the second column. So again you have to give the semicolon, then it's deleted. So first row is cut. If you want to get the rollback, just roll back. So roll back. So again select star. So complete. So this is the delete. Okay, so which commands we covered? So insert, update, delete is done, create, alter is done, and then drop and truncate is left. Okay, and commit, rollback, save point is done, and grant is also done, and revoke I will tell later. So this is a drop and truncate we can discuss. Actually, there is a definitely ask the question the freshers. Okay, what is the difference between drop and truncate? Okay, so not drop and truncate, delete and truncate, and also drop also they will ask. So delete and truncate is also same to delete the records. Okay, you can say rows. These are the rows. Okay, and DML operations will work on these DML operations will work on the completely inside data about this data, not these columns. Okay, so that's why insert, update, delete can be add the data, insert the data, update the data, delete the data, and it want to change the column name or data type. If you want to change the column name or data type, use the ddl commands, create or alter. Okay, so now truncate. So there is the one thing, delete and truncate differentiation they will ask. So delete means you can delete the complete records at a time, and where by delete the one by one record also. Suppose if I give the truncate, whenever you have to remember these things, whenever I'm using the ddl commands, you should be mention the keyword as what you are doing. Okay, should be mention that keyword. So this is a table, that's why I have to mention table, truncate table, and table name I can mention. I will try to mention where clause here, where name equal to, I will mention one name. I want to delete some fourth record, invalid truncate option, it will. Okay. You cannot truncate the by where class, but truncate can do. Before that, I will take a backup of this table. Create table class one as select star from origin. So this is the backup table created with the new table. The same structure will come. So class table is also created with select star from class one semicolon, and also select star from. So both are the same records only. This is the command just to keep a backup of the table by temporary purpose. Okay, means it can be created with the both the values. Just copy of the same value. Okay. Now what I will do? I will drop or truncate. Sorry, truncate the table name. Table. It's a table, and just give the command. Where clause is not works here. Truncate where clause is not works here. Okay. If you give the truncate table name, all the tables are there. Remove. People are there right here. Complete silence. Okay. Now table truncated. You got the message. Now you can see no rows are there. This table is truncated and there is no rows are there. What it will happen? Truncate is meaning of it will be flush the entire records at a time. It's like permanent delete. It won't get back it. In delete, after deleting, you can roll back it. But here also, if you roll back, it won't get the data back. That is the truncate. Truncate cannot delete specific record. Truncate can delete even this table contains lakhs of record of crores of records. Crores of here you can say 100 crores of data also. It can be delete single message. That's why truncate never use actually. If it's recommended, then only can use. Okay. Based on the application or developer, if you want the table completely remove, then you can remove it. Okay. So this is the difference between truncate. Truncate says you cannot delete the specific record. Okay, I mean one by one record, but delete can do one by one record, and it's roll back it again. And it can delete also will remove all the records at a time, just like a truncate. But the rollback will work for them. But in truncate, you cannot roll back the data. That is the so that is the difference between the drop and delete and truncate. And what about the drop? Drop, you can see simple. You can drop the here. Still you can see. Still you can see here the table structure is exist. If you deleted or if you truncated, the table name will be there. The columns also will be there. But drop, what is the drop can we do? So I will what I will do. There is a class table will be there. I will show first class one. Okay, same. I created the same table only, right? Class one. The table is there. Okay. I will drop this table now. Drop. I mentioned table keyword should be mentioned. Drop table name. Okay. This is a simple command. Table is dropped. You can see table has been dropped. Okay. By mistakenly dropped or intentionally dropped the table. The structure you can see first. This is one structure. object does not exist. Structure is not there, and table also will not be there. Okay, the data is also not there. The table structure is also not there. So drop. What is the meaning of drop? Difference between drop and truncate and delete. So drop can be completely drop the table, the structure, the columns, the name of the table, everything can be dropped. But suppose if you are intentionally a drop, obviously you know about. Suppose if in Windows also, this is the file. I'm going to drop here. Just I'm giving the delete command. Just delete is done. But here recycle bin will be there. So this file is there. So you have to restore option. Okay. So like this, it will be get again the file name here. Okay, so like this here also recycle bin will be there. There is a table name called recycle bin. So just recycle bin. Here the object name and original name will be there. I will show that. Don't panic about these slides. There's nothing. Just proper way I need to see. That's why. Object name, original name from recycle bin. Just I am seeing the recycle bin. How any files are there? See, there is object name will show some different bin means. Here the original name showing class 1. Okay. In this scenario, the flashback will come. Okay. That is I said the command is the flashback. Okay. So how to flashback this table? You cannot here table is there, but you cannot see the data. So that's why how to restore this table. So flashback the table. Table name to before drop. So flashback the table. You can see this records will not the recycle bin. Once you restore it, the recycle bin does not have value. So no rows will be there. But if you see the select the name, what is this? Describe the table. You will get the describe table. Line side. So the table structure again it comes, and then select star from. You can see star from class 1. The table got back. Okay. So if you drop the table structure will lost, and name of the file, name of the table is also lost, and the data of the file also lost. If it is a recycle bin, then you can restore by the the flashback technologies based on the flashback command. Flashback table name to before drop. So that will comes again. But there is a one more option in real time. I mean in Windows also or in any environment. There is a shift delete option like permanent delete. It's deleted and it's not there in recycle bin also. Here the same it will also work here. There is option drop table name class 1 purge. There is a keyword to add purge. Then it will drop, even it will not be there in the recycle bin also. You can see here. Previously I can see the recycle bin here, right? After dropping, now it won't show. The table will not be there, the structure will not be there. Structured objects does not exist. Then you can also can't select data also. In this scenario, backups will come. Okay, there is a separate backups will come. Suppose by mistakenly if you drop this table or purge the table, if the developer want this table, then there is a backups as a DBA will come. There is a advanced topic when you are learning the DBA, then you can how to restore from the backups that you can learn. Okay, so this is the procedure. All the Linux basics commands or SQL basics commands are completed. So any more doubts, you can doubt session.